College football week one is in the books. It was an absolutely fantastic week. It was what we were all really waiting for. Week zero out of the way. The week one action did not disappoint. This is Matt Hicks, the FF Educator. And on this episode, I'm breaking down 5 risers for Devy fantasy football from week one. This is also a very good episode for my NFL draft fans, college fantasy football fans, dynasty fantasy football degenerates. Let's go ahead and get into it. First, want to quickly plug here, patreon.com/rookiebigboard. This is where you could find my up-to-date dynasty rankings, Devy rankings, 2023 class rankings. These are the rankings that we're going to be talking about throughout this, as well as access to the Discord channel, personalized advice, and 2022 season projections on the NFL side. Let's go ahead and get into it here. Easily the top riser for most folks throughout the college football casuals, diehards, everybody is talking about Anthony Richardson, the quarterback for Florida. Now, Anthony Richardson was somebody that we talked about here in our summer scouting profiles of the Rookie Big Board as somebody with huge potential. So what Anthony Richardson did last night is not a surprise to me, but in order for somebody to be a Devy riser, something needs to statistically change here in my formula, in the inputs that I put in to get my rookie output, my rookie rankings. And for one of those big categories is NFL draft projection. And going into the season, I had Anthony Richardson with the tools and upside to be as high as a top 5 NFL draft selection. But what I cautioned folks was that he was very toolsy and we needed to see a large sample size of consistent production. And so I have him rising right now in NFL draft projection because I think this weekend, everybody else saw those tools that those of us who have been watching Anthony Richardson saw. So now the NFL draft community is going to be higher on him. The overall consensus is going to rise for his NFL draft projections. And where I think some people may have had him as a top 50 potential player, now they have him as a top 5 potential player. So let's talk about what exactly he did. Florida won a tight scrap with Utah. It was a real dramatic finish there. And Anthony Richardson was the reason that Florida won this game. And I want to emphasize that he is the reason. The defense is not the reason. He did get support from other parts of the running game, but he really put this team on his back. He ran the ball 11 times for 106 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. He looks like an absolute weapon in the running game. All right, this is a true dual threat quarterback, and I'm not going to sit here and try to make the comparisons that I've heard, but I do need to point out that my timeline is calling him the next Vince Young. My timeline is calling him the next Cam Newton. Let him be Anthony Richardson, right? Here's going to be the key. We know he can run the ball. He found the end zone 3 times. That's pretty special. If he can continue to be a threat in the red zone, I mean, the sky is the ceiling from a fantasy football perspective. Remember, that's what we're doing here at the Rookie Big Board. We're blending the NFL and college to understand rookie fantasy football value. Now, the key is going to be, how is he going to pass the ball the rest of the season? He went 17 for 24. That is a relatively good completion percentage compared to what we saw in a small sample size last year. Just 168 passing yards. But here's what I like. No touchdowns, don't love that, but no interceptions. He protected the ball. Now, I know he did throw one ball up for grabs. That could have been an easy interception here. So, as we continue down the season with Anthony Richardson, as he plays SEC defenses week in and week out, the key for whether or not he is a top 5 NFL draft selection, whether or not he even declares for the 2023 NFL draft, the key for Anthony Richardson is going to be the passing, the mental side of the game. Can he protect the ball? We know he has a big arm, right? But it's more than just the tools. And the NFL draft community, as excited as they get about tools, they know it's more than just the tools. Overall, though, Anthony Richardson has to be the top Devy riser of the week. Heading on to another guy here, Sean Tucker. Sean Tucker, a nice performance, a little under the radar. Syracuse and Louisville played that 7 o'clock game. Some folks were already exhausted. Some folks were tuned into Ohio State, Notre Dame, tuned into the aforementioned Florida-Utah game, but you always have to have 2 or 3 screens up, right? And I had Sean Tucker in the Syracuse Orange sitting there on the side, and Syracuse put up a big game. They really took it to Louisville, which I did not expect, and it really was on the back of Sean Tucker here. 21 carries for 98 yards, a touchdown on the ground. What I really love is 6 receptions for 85 yards and a touchdown. Now, I mentioned Anthony Richardson, I call a riser because I think his NFL draft projection overall is going to take a bump up. For me, right, film evaluation is a huge part of it. And I can do my summer scouting, but you only get to see so much on summer scouting. So watching live tape is really good to help inform the way that tape eval is going to develop over the course of the season. And then, of course, everybody will get a full tape eval again, or a touched up tape eval from me at the end of the season. But I mention all this to say there's some things that it's hard to see in limited tape evaluations. And I knew Sean Tucker was a track athlete, but I never really saw that speed on tape. We got to see a really nice reception that Sean Tucker took to the house, straight line acceleration, straight line speed. I need to see it in order to put it in the formula, right? I can't just take the word of other people seeing it or take some track times. Sean Tucker put that speed score into perspective, and he's going to continue to push up boards the more productive he is. I think Sean Tucker has a chance to be a top 50 NFL draft selection. I think Sean Tucker has a chance to make an argument for that running back 3 spot here in the next year's rookie running back class. Now, the player who I currently have as running back 2 in that class is Zach Evans. And I swear Zach Evans had the quietest successful night for Mississippi last night. I almost called it Mississippi State. It is Mississippi. He's playing. He did transfer over from TCU. And here's what I love: 20 carries for Zach Evans. 20 carries. Now, that may not seem significant, but Ole Miss likes to distribute the ball in the running game, but not with Zach Evans. Zach Evans didn't always have a lot of carries for TCU. All right, he was a very efficient player, but he gets the ball 20 times. He rushes for 130 yards. We'll do some quick mental math and realize that is a lot of yards per carry, right, for Zach Evans. He had 2 receptions for 22 yards. So all in all, he goes over 150 total yards. Folks, I have been saying this, but I really think that Zach Evans is going to end up being running back 2 in this draft class. Of course, behind Bijan Robinson. We're not even going to talk about Bijan Robinson because he did play so well. But Zach Evans quietly had a really successful night here for Mississippi. Going on here to Kenny McIntosh. Now, I put Kenny McIntosh in here for a very specific reason. I went about 35 deep in my summer scouting, right? You try to get to as many guys as you can, and you know there will be guys that come on during the season. And Kenny McIntosh is a really perfect example. I did list him, by the way. I've been tweeting out. I'm hoping to do this throughout the season. I've been tweeting out players to watch in each slate for my Devy folks, right? For folks who may not know exactly what to watch every single game. And I did tweet out to watch Kenny McIntosh. So even though I didn't get a summer scouting report in on him, I knew he'd be somebody to watch. And coming in and seeing his production there, caught a little bit of the Georgia game live, have to go back and really watch it with Kenny McIntosh. But 9 receptions for 117 yards, that is significant because we know how Georgia likes to use their pass-catching running backs. We saw what that got James Cook this past year, right? And Kenny McIntosh, that is a much better stat line than James Cook ever put up. So for somebody like me, which I imagine most folks are on a similar place, where Kenny McIntosh wasn't exactly at the top of the list to watch, now he does. He does get prioritized at the top of the list. Now when I have downtime, I'm going to go back and I'm going to watch some 2021 tape if I can find anything for Kenny McIntosh. And I'm going to know each and every week from now on that this is somebody I need to pay attention to. And that is going to build his NFL draft projection. So I'm trying to point out through all of these risers the different ways that fantasy football value can be created and can rise. And I have one more for you. This is my guy. I needed to finish up here on Zay Flowers, the wide receiver out of Boston College. I've been hyping him up. Folks, I'm telling you, Zay Flowers can go top 50. He can go top 50. He is athletic. He is speedy. He creates separation. And he is going to have a ridiculous stat box by the end of the season because all preseason Boston College beat reporters and Boston College coaching staff and Zay Flowers' teammates, everybody told us we're going to feed Zay. And everyone said, all right, we'll see. Well, he came out 10 receptions for 117 yards, 2 touchdowns. Folks, the NFL draft projection from the community, from consensus, is going to continue to rise. Somebody made the mistake of offering me a Zay Flowers trade in a Devy league this morning. I smashed accept. I got to tell you, I know folks probably listen, right? They follow me on Twitter. They see who I'm hyping. They see, oh, maybe I feel like this player's overvalued now. Let me trade him to Matt. I'm going to take my guy. If I'm hyping up somebody and I get a trade offer, boom, smash accept, Zay Flowers. That's my guy. I'm happy to have added him on a squad this morning as I'm giving you this insight and advice. That's 5 risers, folks. If you want more in-depth detail, make sure to check out Rookie Big Board, patreon.com/Rookie Big Board as well. You can check out Rookie Big Board, the podcast. I do a more extended version of this, but trying to give you a quick update from week 1 here. As always, I appreciate you checking out this episode of the Rookie Big Board.